know the number one reason that I know
Hmm.
the the ESPN ticker and the CNN and MSNBC tickers.
Yep. At the bottom. Yep.
At the bottom, it's like I can remember having a smaller TV and being able to read it fine, and now I have a larger TV, and it's like where
I mean, I can see it's there, but like,
I see the writings there, but I don't see anything. Yep.
yeah, it's
So we're covering two, I guess would say feel good.
yeah.
Today, I think
You
both
feel
of them.
it's a good way to kick off the second season, I guess. Like the to do two. I mean, I am not familiar as much with the context that Rosa Parks is used in by OutKast. Um, Queen's "Don't Stop Me Now" though is like one of those serious party. I mean, you can even if you've only heard it once. I mean, it's really obviously intended to be danced to. Like that's what it was done for. So,
So you know what? Can we start with can we start with the Queen song?
we can start with Queen song, sure, yeah,
Yeah, I would
and
like.
change it up a little bit.
Yeah, let's change it up to start things off because you want to know what? I don't know if we covered any record last season that was
Hmm.
enticing on your side as this record was to me.
That was his what? I'm sorry.
Enticing.
Oh, okay.
Like when I heard it, I was like, oh, I'm like, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, cool. I'm like, somebody should have told me. I would have bought a better shirt. I would have bought some dancing shoes. And and the melody immediately does that to you with
Oh
this.
yeah.
And so that's why I was like, I mean, you had a conversation about, you sent me a message a couple of days ago and you were like, do you have any other ideas, because we're going to start off with this. And I'm like, no, 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 that's it's perfect. It's
Hmm.
perfect because for me, it's like, I looked at it and this is how I thought about it. I think there's that pop culture iconic scene of Wayne's World
Hmm. Yeah.
and not that vision, but the night at Roxbury.
Yeah. The
Okay, so that kind of came in my head when the beat came on, but like in a good way. It's like
it's
them in
definitely a disco beat.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I want to come back around to that at the very end too, because I think there's something to be said with that in comparison to Rosa Parks too. Not that Rosa Parks has a disco beat, but a point. Um, the song that you're talking about, actually, the Wayne's World one, where they're doing that, is a Queen song. I know the headbanging is not, but actually, yeah, it is too. It is a Queen song. It's Bohemian Rhapsody. They do that with.
Mhm.
Um, so like when they're driving in the car or whatever. Yeah, sure. That's Queen as well. And Queen
Let
Queen's
me
one of those bands that like is operatic. I mean, because Freddie Mercury is one of the only vocalists in rock and roll history that can do that. Like his voice is one of the most amazing and most agile, I guess, um, of rock and roll music. And but there's some heavier guitars in there too. Like it's not just um and then the drummer's got that little disco four on the floor thing going on too. So it's a good combination of stuff. And it's one of those songs that like I think of it um like a lot of OutKast hits, honestly. Like this one, like Rosa Parks, like ATLiens, like Bombs Over Baghdad. Like if you're not like moving in your seat when you listen to it, then there's something wrong with you. Like and this Queen in the Don't Stop Me Now does that too.
It definitely does. So to the Queen record, and I like that you brought up like the get up and dance
Hmm.
feel part about OutKast side. Like just remind me when we're touching the OutKast side to discuss the live instrumentation side on the hip hop level.
Okay.
That's involved with Rosa Parks and that's kind of attached to OutKast in a way that's not attached to other Southern acts.
Okay.
So the main thing that I wanted to talk to you about,
Hmm.
and in relationship to this song and why I wanted to start off with Queen, is because it was on this record. It's how about this? I know who Freddie Mercury is.
Right.
I know who Queen is.
Right.
I did not know vocally who he was.
Oh man, he's an unbelievable.
It, Andrew, until I heard this record, I did not know who he was vocally. The
Hmm.
first thing I noticed about this record, I was like, Oh, he's better almost than anybody vocally.
Oh yeah, without question.
And
Without question.
the first thing that I noticed is the agility. I'm like, oh no, this guy can sing like Barry White, sing like Prince, sing like Jagger, sing like Elton John. Like who you want him to sing like because he can go through the soprano, alto.
He's got the range. He's got incredible range.
His range was I heard the unworldliness of his range off that one song, and I need to go listen to some more Queen just about his voice. His voice is
this is not. I mean, it is a famous song, but it is not like one of their most famous songs.
I mean, it's not "We Are the Champions" or Bohemian Rhapsody, and so you almost feel like those songs have been. The archetypes of those songs have been built into so many different pop cultural references that it almost is satire like.
Right. That's why I wanted to do one that was not like it was a famous song, but not like the most famous song.
No, I totally see your vision with it because this is the song that gives credibility to the actual musical genius of the group, mostly him vocally and what they do guitar wise.
Oh yeah, the guitar is nasty too. Like it's
nasty. Yeah. Their guitar work is supreme. Who's their guitarist?
His name's Brian May.
Okay. Has he worked with anybody else, or is he known for his work with Queen?
He's worked with Queen. Like Queen is the four of them. I forget. I'm willing to embarrass myself because I don't know the rest of them. The drummer's named Roger something.
I'll have to look it up right quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to make sure we give these people their flowers. But yeah, Brian May is the guitarist, and he is. Lots of the band members get overshadowed by Freddie Mercury, obviously, because he is his vocals, but he also
plays the piano.
Yeah.
I just pulled it up.
Yeah.
He sings like that and he plays the piano?
Not all the time, but yeah, he is. We'll have to talk about his Live Aid performance at some point because have you watched the Live Aid performance?
No.
Oh man, that's okay. So he has a performance. The Queen, they, and like in the 80s, this is right before he died. He had HIV, and he died of AIDS in the early mid 80s.
I thought it was late 80s.
It might have been. I'm misspeaking. But anyway, this was like in the year or two before he died. He performed at Live Aid, which was not at Wembley, I don't think, Wembley Stadium, but it was 150,000 people or whatever. And I have never seen, like y'all, those of you who are watching this, if you've never watched Queen's performance at Live Aid, LIVAID is what it sounds like.
Right there.
You should go, it's on YouTube. But I have never, ever seen a single individual hold a crowd of 100 and however many thousand people like in the palm of his hand like that. And he doesn't, I mean, he plays some famous songs, but he plays like Radio Gaga and I forget what else, but like it's like he's hypnotized them almost. Like he's just beyond his vocals, he's an extraordinary performer. And he was medium to pretty sick at that point too. So he was not at the peak of his powers.
So when you're saying performer, give me some level or range about performance level, like James Brown, Michael Jackson.
It's like that. It's like that. Like it's that kind of.
He's at the top tier in terms of performance.
He's way up at the top. I wouldn't put him at the tip top. I would put him at the tip top vocally. I would not put him at the tip top like. I mean, his stage motions, yes, but he's not like dancing like Mike or Prince or whatever. He's not like that.
Well, how about this? They can't sing like him range-wise.
There's nobody. I mean, there are people that can sing like that, but the people who can sing like Freddie Mercury are usually not
men.
They're not men, no, but they're also not rock and roll singers either. They're like, I mean, Michael Bublé can sing like that, for example. Like people like that who sing those kind of songs, and not to knock them, but like that's the kind of voice he had. He could sing whatever.
Are you familiar with Minnie Riperton?
That name is familiar, but I'm not calling songs to mind.
Yeah, Minnie Riperton and Denise Williams have what I would call comparable range to Freddie Mercury in terms and 5-octave voice. In terms of like what they can do vocally. is just like a manifestation of like brilliance unto itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's actually what I heard when I heard him. I heard like vocally, the level that he's at. I only hear women like Whitney, Minnie Riperton, Denise
There's
Williams.
not many people that can do that.
Yeah, yeah. Like I would love to hear some of his runs, like when he's practicing, like some of his runs, because you'll probably hear stuff that you're not used to hearing from a man, quite frankly, on a vocal run. Yeah,
he's extraordinary.
And that explains the operatic tone of their music that they're known for, because it's like, well, they have somebody who's capable of singing.
It's really and like I try to sing along. I mean, everybody tries to sing along with Queen. Like it's just one of those things that moves you and you want to sing along with. But nobody can sing like Freddie. Like you just can't. And once you accept that, then you can just sing it and have fun, right? But
the range that you hear and what he's able to do and how easily he shifts his range. Okay, so Brian May is guitar and vocals, Roger Taylor's drums and vocals, and John Deacon was bass.
John Deacon, that's the name I was missing. Okay. Yeah, they're all extraordinary musicians, not just Freddie, but like
I need to dig some more. But his voice is such an attraction point for a music lover. Is what I mean. It's hard not to hear his voice and be like, whoa, like what's that? Who is that?
Yeah. This song comes from an album called Jazz, actually, it's 1978, so it's 20 years before Rosa Parks. And the album is not really jazzy at all. But the album's called Jazz. That's the one that has, I don't know if you know Fat Bottom Girls or Bicycle Race. I don't know if you're familiar with those songs. Those come from this one too.
Bicycle Race, yes.
So yeah, it's just, it's an amazing song. Like, do you have any other questions, or you want me to riff a little bit?
No, riff a little bit. I'm just like pulling the album up right quick and just kind of like seeing like if I'm familiar with any of the other stuff on there, and also seeing like what's in there. I was super impressed by the song. It's feel good music. It is. And so when you're talking about him performing at Live Aid and being captivating, it's like, well, that doesn't surprise me, because I was captivated by this song. Like just the listen, the first listen of it was captivating to me. Like whoa, like how can you like, you know, I know everybody has their we all have the shit that we like.
Sure, yeah.
But if you just like music, this is just one of those songs, I feel like, and he's just like one of those vocalists where it's like, no.
It's hard. It's really hard not to like him.
Like if you don't like that, it's like I don't respect your musical opinion as much, because just as a music lover in general, you don't gotta like
I was saying about
record, yeah.
Like I was saying about like the other songs too, like if this doesn't make you like move in your seat, then there's something wrong with you. Like
if you're a black man and you're going to your company holiday party and this song comes on and you don't nod your head, you're trying too hard to be cool. Like go ahead and let it go and nod your head to this shit. It's okay.
It's good because it's got that beat and it's good. Like it's not
good. Like
the cool part.
Yeah.
This is like a miniature. I think of this song as kind of a miniature Bohemian Rhapsody. Like it has 2 or 3 or 4 distinct parts to it. There's the intro where it's kind of slow and smooth, and then there's the beat kicks in where he sings the "Don't Stop Me Now" part, and then there's the breakdown at the end, the "Don't stop me, don't stop me, don't stop me," or that part at the end, and then the outro is the same as the beginning too. So it's got a little something for everybody too. It's warming you up and cooling you down on the dance floor as well.
So I also see that, and I already knew this, they're from the UK. And so how did their jump across the pond go? Like, were they just as big here as they were over there, or was home base still bigger than it was here for them? You know, like the Beatles were massively large everywhere.
Right. I would say this is okay. I want to be super clear about this. This is not something that I'm super familiar with. I think that they were bigger in the UK than they are here. Okay. But at least at their, like when they were releasing music.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was part of the Studio 54 deal too with Jagger
Oh,
and Bowie and all of them too, which is I'm sure not surprising, given this kind of music and his lifestyle and partying and all that kind of stuff. Like that's just
I know more about his legend
mhm,
side of music,
yeah.
who he
He's
was personality wise,
mhm,
than the actual music.
yeah. Yeah, if y'all haven't, you and everybody else who's listening who hasn't dipped into Queen's music, just, I mean, watch the Live Aid performance, which is awesome. And you can on wherever streaming you listen to, just find the Greatest Hits album, and that'll give you enough of an intro to who they are and what they are to hook you. Like I don't,
What's your favorite Queen album?
I didn't listen to them growing up as like with jazz. They have one called Jazz. They have one called Night at the Opera, and a few others. But I listened to the Greatest Hits one. That's where I had the hook in. Um, and it does. I mean, it starts with like "We Are the Champions" and "We Will Rock You," which are
Marvin Gaye got me like that. Marvin Gaye got me with his greatest hits, and the greatest hits is what got me on the dig.
yeah. That's where it started for me. So honestly, I'm not super familiar. I mean, I researched jazz, but just because what the song's on, but um, it's not. I'm not as familiar with like which songs come from which albums or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, any Queen's greatest hits stuff would be worth checking out. It's exceptional, and it's dramatic in a way that most other popular music is not. There's a little show tunes in it, I guess. Like there's it's not just singing, there's like acting involved in the singing.
Yeah,
right?
That's why I said it's operatic, because it's
Yeah.
like it's not just vocally what he's able to do. It almost seems like, and is he the front man and the visionary?
Yeah.
Okay, so it almost seems like, well, he's got this whole thing figured out about how he wanted it to run from the jump down to the hair, what they're wearing, like even some of their stuff the stuff that you are familiar with, like "We Are the Champions," Bohemian, that stuff is super cinematic. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It hasn't given me a time to appreciate who he is as a vocalist, maybe who they are as a band.
Mm-hmm.
Because these things culturally have been indoctrinated into us on a level of appreciation that's not on the musical genius level.
Right.
It's on that. It's on the Simple Stupid Works level that it's been given to.
Like the background music kind of level. Yeah.
Simple Stupid Works. We are the champions. We will rock you. But it's given to us in those doses, so that we really are not familiar with the full player of the song, which is probably where you're going to hear vocally who he is, where it's like, oh no, this guy's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to dip too much into "We'll Rock You," but I mean that's boom boom clap too. So, I mean, that's the simplest possible, like stomp stomp clap, right? And he turns that into even something that is iconic, right?
So when you hear that beat, you know what I hear? I hear "Grinding" by the Clips, the Neptune. Just that same simple boom 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 boom. It's just that sped up a little bit. It's the same thing sped up to me. Yeah, boom boom clap. He just it's the same thing.
Right. Oh, cool. Yeah.
That's all they did. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like an old formula too. Yeah.
It's one of those things that works regardless, right? Like this is also, let me go in my notes here. Make sure I'm not forgetting stuff.
You know what works for them too in this sphere, and I'm starting to notice it because of their songs that I am familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, part of why they play well in stadiums and why they're going to play well in Black community too, they like drums.
Oh,
they
yeah.
like guitars.
Mm-hmm.
All that over here, especially the drum part. You know what I'm saying? Because the rhythm, I mean, hip hop is based on drum patterns and loops.
That's right. Yeah. And it's one of those, again, that's why like you can't sit still while you listen to their songs. And it's not just this one. I mean, most of their songs have get up out of your seat beats too. Yeah. Like, and there's definitely, the intent is definitely for you to dance to them. Like that's like it's or nod your head or wiggle in your seat or whatever. I mean, whatever is appropriate for your particular context at that particular point. Like it's one of those where you have to. There are not many bands that essentially are demanding that you sing along and when you listen to it and demand that you dance with. Like I have, and like my 13-year-old daughter loves Queen too, and like it's one of those that hooked her when she was younger, like 6, 7, like whatever, because you can't not sing to it. Like it's just one of those things that draws that out of you, and yes. And that's not easy to do.
No, it's not. So here's my question to you, and I think this is a transitional point to get to OutKast's Rosa Parks, is that it appears the Queen's thing is to rock the party.
Mm-hmm.
Did they ever delve into some more poignant or conscious matters? Or was it always to rock the party?
I mean, there are some songs that are a little more serious, like even the lyrical content of Bohemian Rhapsody is a little more serious.
Yeah.
I mean, not the I see a little silhouette of a man, that's not really super serious, but like the intro and the outro are about mama, I just killed a man, like that's a little more serious, even though
that's more creative songwriting to me.
Exactly, right? This is not like him narrating his personal life experience. This is like acting acting out an opera, right?
That's what I mean when I say poignant, and how he kind of has the scene set all figured out. It's like, well, no, they're here to rock the party and they set the scene for that. Is there anything poignant about it? Because what I would say as we transition is that part of what OutKast does so well, as any rap group who's ever lived, is to make the poignant funky. That's what Rosa Parks.
And that's hard to do.
Super hard
to do. No, there's not. And I mean, Queen fans can like yell at me in the comments or whatever, but like the intent of the music is not to make elaborate social commentary or narrate the points of your life or whatever. This is shake your ass music. Like it just is. Like that's just what it's for. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just what it's intended for.
So, well, ready to transition, or did you have anything else?
Yeah, this actually would go really well with this. Like the Don't Stop Me Now speaks in similes, right? I mean, like a superstar leaping through the sky like a tiger, a racing car passing by like Lady Godiva. Like, so he does speak in simile in a way that that most rock and roll musicians do. But it strikes me listening to the lyrical content of this song. Queen, as we've talked about already, is like about dancing, right? Basically, and the lyrical content is not super complex at all. It's not silly exactly, but I mean there are moments that are kind of silly, and it's one of those songs that, as good as it is, it shows me or reminds me how difficult writing a hip hop song is, because and we'll get to this now, I guess. The intricacy of the lyrics of Rosa Parks and many of the hip hop songs that we've talked about previously is just like off the charts. Like when you dig into the poetry and all the ways the lines are put together and stuff like that, it's incredibly complex.
It is. I tell people writing a hip hop record is one of the toughest things to do, as far as on an execution level of getting people to enjoy the multitude of words that you're using. Because I mean, it's just age old, and I said it earlier. Well, Simple Stupid has always worked, Andrew, and not that there's anything wrong with it. I think one of the things that I think, even from the Queen songs that you've mentioned, well, that's the Simple Stupid done masterfully.
Yep.
And there's an art to that. That's an art form up to itself. It is the nuance that comes with rhyming and putting together things fast-paced in a 16-bar format or setting, or sometimes 24 and 48, depending on how the format goes. But there is something about that that is intrinsically harder than what goes on in a lot of other genres, and you have to utilize a lot more of your gifts in the process of that. One of the things that's beautiful about OutKast, and I've spoken this about Andre before, but it kind of applies to Big Boy too. Well, you understand everything that they're saying. Like they're both top-notch lyricists,
right?
But they're not top-notch lyricists that use words or vocabulary, even like people like you and I do. They use everyday people slang. Yeah. Like their usage of words is everyday people words usage. And this song on both of on Rosa Parks respectively, like what's masterful about the song is the actual social commentary is actually in the name of the song. And right. The actual live instrumentation, which provides an ethos without words, with the use of the harmonica and the old school Southern instruments that were often used in the church. So the social commentary is actually being given through the instrumentation in the name of the song. That's the commentary about it. Because if you listen to what the hook is, and and we can just start unpacking it, it goes, aha, hush that fuss. Everybody move to the back of the bus. Do you want to bump and slump with us? We the type of people make the club get crunk. They're actually taking a moment of oppression, flipping it into a moment of victory. Well, that's why hip hop was created. Like hip hop was literally created in the Black community to take a minus and make it a plus.
You see this whole page of notes. That's what that says. Right. Essentially, yeah. Okay. I love that. I love that was where you're going with this too. That's awesome. Yeah,
this song is the embodiment in a lot of ways, and I know a lot of people don't understand it. This song is the embodiment of the power of what hip hop means. That two guys from Atlanta, Georgia, which obviously historically it's tied to the civil rights movement, right? And Rosa Parks and Dr. King and the boycott and how all of this civil rights movement started. Well, it's funny how a group from that area 50 years later can come back and make an anthem. I wouldn't call it quite an anthem because I don't think it was big enough to be considered an anthem, but I think it's classic enough to be called a great song.
It is a great song.
An anthem-like for its time. Even with that being said, what's wonderful about this song is their expression of who they are once again, emotionally and vocally, without it being complicated. Like they're not complicated on this record.
No.
Now their delivery and their vocal inflections, it's top notch. It's stuff. And it's one of the things that make it catchy.
Okay.
And so this is a song that's pieced together very, very well from beginning to end, from hook, the thought process, to social commentary, to the disbursement of the verses, to the order. Because one of the things that makes this song fun is the fact that Big Boy goes first. This song is not as fun if you start off with Andre's verse. Because
it's not.
It's not, because this is what I mean about the vocal tone of it, and Big Boy's not using big words. He said, ATL Georgia, what do we do for you? Bulldogging hoes like in Georgetown Hoyas. Those aren't complicated words.
No.
But how he's delivering and his vocal,
I love it,
it makes everybody smile.
Yeah.
It makes everybody smile when you hear it. So the way that he vocally inflects is what sets off the feeling that actually makes you, when Dre comes on, the song gets way more serious, but only because he's more serious. That hook is so catchy.
Yeah.
That bridge is so epic that even through his seriousness of how he's feeling emotionally at the time, the song still feels uplifting, even though he's actually very somber. And he's actually very somber throughout Aquemini itself, if people are really paying attention. He's not like a happy guy on Aquemini.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this is the expression that I met a gypsy and she hit me to some mod game to stimulate, to activate the left and right brain. Said, baby boy, you only focus on your last cut. You focus on the past, your ass will be a has what. That's words to live by, or either that's words to die to.
Mm-hmm.
I just try to throw it at you. Determine your own adventure, Andre. You get what I'm saying? He's
Yeah.
going through a thing. So emotionally, he's not happy. That sounds like the expression of the words of a happy man.
No, definitely not.
No, it's not. He's actually very somber and reflective. But, and this is where Big Boy becomes important again. Big Boy is so key in setting a tone and setting a level that what really happens.
It doesn't bring down the song at all.
It doesn't bring down the song at all. You really just become immersed in the fact that it's like, man, Dre's really like going through a thing, but he's making it sound good. Well, it's like, well, I don't know if it's him making it sound good. It's that guy he has right next to them. That's why they were so great together. Dre can't do that by himself and do an uplifting record. It's not going to sound uplifting.
Right.
You know? And so that's what I mean about how well records with them are pieced together and how well they play off each other. Because also, too, well, Andre speaking the way that he's speaking gives the song some actual literal, cognitive, and written substance so that using the name Rosa Parks on a party song doesn't feel so bad. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it was just Big Boy's rhetoric for two verses and you're calling the song Rosa Parks.
It might be a little bit disrespectful.
It's going to play well. And let's also keep in mind, even with all these things said, it still didn't play well and they got sued.
Yeah, and right.
Right. So
I had known that, and then I forgot about it, and I was reading a little bit about the song, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. They did. She did sue them, or her lawyer sued them.
Imagine how quick that happens if Andre's verse is not on there. Like, because without Andre's verse, it's a straight party song.
Yeah.
So the balance of there is beautiful. You have your social commentary, you have your live instrumentation, you have your party, you have Big Boy. It's just a lot of pieces, and that's why making a great hip hop record is so hard. Look at all the pieces that I'm talking about coming together just to make this song sound great. This wasn't like, this song didn't like burn up the charts. This wasn't like,
this was not one of the first ones I was familiar with, for sure.
No, I mean, like I said, I don't even think this is their biggest single. Well, I mean, it's not their biggest single. So Fresh, So Clean, and Miss Jackson are. And as far as singles that are more quality, I think Southern Playalistic and Elevators are better songs. But look at all the intricacies and nuances to put this great record together. And this is what I mean about the live instrumentation. You know, they just recently celebrated the 28th anniversary of Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, which is the first album. They've been using instrumentation and live instrumentation from the jump. And so it wasn't a surprise to hear them on their third album take it there. They had already kind of prepared us, at least musically. No. They keyboardists, guitarists, drummers, singers had works and hands in their first two albums. So
the first two albums sound P-funkish. Like they have that kind of really dark George Clinton kind of Bootsy Collins shit in it.
Very much, but still, but live drummers and keyboardists and guitarists are coming in, you know, to Stank. Well, it's called Stank On You now. Bobby Brown's old studio in the dungeon to record these things. So there was a live instrument element to what OutKast did from the jump, and this is the first time that they really jumped out and did it on a single.
Okay.
And so this song is what prepares you for what they do on Bombs Over Baghdad.
Oh, cool.
The live instrumentation has just been a key component of OutKast's career early on. But this was the first time they kind of like jumped out first single wise with it and kind of really hit you with it. And I was just saying, like musically, they've always had the live instruments be a part of it. So each time they just kind of elevated a little bit more. So imagine when you're hearing Bombs Over Baghdad a couple of years later and you're hearing like a full choir now, you know? Yeah. So they're preparing you for these moments musically as well. So it's been strategic how they planned it as well. But still a wonderful record and a different type of party starter, but still has the same feel-good aesthetic to it. I mean, I know you remember this. This song came out when we were seniors in high school.
Yep.
We were all running around singing this song. Like
I didn't know what it was then, but I do remember it.
Yeah. I can remember talking to Nasif. Remember Nasif?
Yeah.
Me and Nasif were sitting outside the math building the day after, or the day it had dropped. And he was like literally stuck. You know, Nasif loved to talk. Both me and him, we got along because we were both really smart and loved to talk. He always had something to say. He was like stuck on stupid after he had heard of Clem and I. He was like, dude, he's like, I don't know if I've heard like anything better than this rap wise. It's like ever. He's like ever, Coop. He's like, this might be the best rap album I've ever heard in my life. It's like that. That was the impact of that album. That was the strength of that album. This is the lead song off that album.
Yeah, like I want to get in a little bit to like how the lines are put together. I mean, maybe you can speak to it more too than I, but like,
yeah, go ahead.
If we're doing the English teacher segment or whatever, like the internal rhyme and the way the lines are like put together, like I wrote down, I called it alliterative rhyme because they're like echoing in many of the lines, like the first sounds in the words and the middle, like take the bat way and head it to that bat cave, like the bat, it does the B's and the at and the A, like all of those sounds match.
So they're using alliteration, what is it, consonants and dissonance?
Assonance is the one in the middle. Yeah, the vowel. Yeah.
Yes, a lot of all of that. So they're literary devices on the song. That's what I mean. What they're doing, word-wise, is simple.
Yeah.
What they're technically doing
is incredibly intricate. Like I looked at it again this afternoon, just in preparation for this, because I mean, my first reaction was like I listened to the two verses again, and they don't really seem to have much to do with each other. Like so it may be another example of Dre dropping in or whatever. But we will, as we've talked about before, but like his first two lines, I met a gypsy and she hit me to some life games to stimulate and activate the left and right brain. Like the beginnings of those lines, gyp has the I sounds, the gypsy, hip, and then simulate and activate, like all that. There's 4 or 5 of them at the beginning of both of those lines. But life game, you have IA and right brain, IA too. Like, so it's not just
the word.
People hear it, or people who are not paying much attention, like I was when I first heard the song the first 200 times or whatever, that you just hear the A at the end, the A and whatever, but you're not hearing like or I wasn't paying attention to how complexly the words are woven together.
That's intentional on this record to bring out their Southern draws.
Oh yeah,
Rosa Parks. So the way that they are formatting their bars respectively is different. And you're right, Dre is using more assonance, but Big Boy is flipping the word alliteration wise, but how starting it off and syncopization wise a little bit, in and out on that. But they're doing that both. That's what I mean about the inflection of their voices. They're doing that vocally to make the song feel more Southern because it's called Rosa Parks. So they're using words that highlight vocally their Southern draws respectively. That's why I bring up when Big Boy's doing ATL Georgia. What do we do for you?
Yeah, I can't do it, but like, yeah, sure. Like,
okay, well, that's where his draw works well. Andre's draw isn't like that because Andre's more of a crisp talker than Big Boy is. So his draw is going to show itself where? In the middle of the words usually. Like,
that's cool. I never thought about that. Sure.
When people are from the South and they speak well, you can usually hear their twang where? In the middle of their words. In the middle of his words is where you're hearing his twang. That's intentional by them. That's what I mean. There are so many little things that make this song genius that they're doing. That's intentional. They don't do that on any other record on Aquemini except for this one.
No, the first note I wrote about this, like when we first started talking about this pairing like months ago, was the hook is wrapped around a bunch of short U sounds, hush, that bus, bump, slump, but the way he's pronouncing them is he's taking a bunch of words that have that sound in them and accenting that sound in them. So he's almost turning the into an oo, almost. So he's almost, I'm going to sound like the whitest person ever doing this, sorry, but like he almost is sounding like whoosh that foos. Like it's almost like because it's so like there's almost an oo in there, but it also makes it rhyme, not just it then it also rhymes with you, and it rhymes with move to the back of the book. Like it almost rhymes with those words too, and not just hush and fuss and club and crunk it, like all of those too.
So it's almost Geechee talk, where it's
Yeah.
like the words literally all are mushed together in like a rhythmic tone.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. They're intentionally making this song sound Southern about the name. Like they're trying to create a feeling. And part of that feeling they're trying to create is a deep South feeling.
It does feel like that. Absolutely.
So it's intentional even. And it's funny. I mean, I don't know how the elders were in your family, but I can remember when we were younger, elders in my family be hush that fuss.
Mm.
My grandfather didn't like to curse because he was a Christian man. He'd be like, hush all that fuss. Y'all need to hush all that fuss. Because that was easier than saying shut the fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I mean about there are things being done intentionally to bring out the Southern aspects of this record that reflect everything's being done to make it a social commentary, except commenting on it socially. They're like, no, we're going to do what OutKast does, but everything about it's a social commentary, down to the Southern drawl. Everything about it is put together to be Southern, to make it feel old Southern, to make you feel a certain type of way.
Even down to the harmonicas and hands clapping, foot stomping, breakdown. Yeah.
Even if you listen to how the song is going out, you can hear Andre scatting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's behind the hook too. Places too, yeah.
That's like some live stage, old school barnyard hoedown blues. Like they're creating that feeling. Yeah.
And to circle here, like one of the things that I thought was really, really cool. I mean, obviously, it's country. Like in the wider culture, you think of harmonica being folk country music, kind of an instrumentation, even though it is associated with the blues and all of that stuff too. Like, so it's taking. I don't want to say it's a white instrument because it wasn't always, and it really isn't, but it's like the way we think of it now, like in the modern world, tends to be that way. I think. Am I wrong about that?
I mean, for Black people, unless it's Stevie Wonder, it's some white people shit.
Okay, so I'm not like talking out of my ass there. Good. And
unless it's Stevie, like if Black people hear a harmonica, we immediately think Stevie Wonder is playing it, or white people do it.
Good. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I was not off base on that. But they're taking what we would think of as a white instrument, sort of, and using it in a way that reclaims it, I guess, and uses it for that. And
I think they're trying to use it to reflect the deep Southernness of it more than the whiteness of it.
That makes sense.
But those two things are not mutually exclusive.
Right.
Right.
But the circling part that I thought was kind of cool was that despite Freddie Mercury's voice and his like operatic singing essentially, and Don't Stop Me Now, this is, I wouldn't call it a disco song exactly, but it's got that 4 on the floor beat. It's got the like, it's pulling from like Donna Summer. It's pulling from that kind of stuff. So it's interesting. I didn't intend this when we picked these songs to go together, but like they're both taking stuff from like the opposite side and using them in a different way.
Yes, like okay, so OutKast is taking the folk and the bluegrass and the country, and making it hip hop. So Freddie and Queen are sitting over there in the UK, and he's obviously got this stellar, amazing voice. So they're doing more rock and roll operatic infusion. But while he's sitting, and this is just what I'm hearing, while based on the time that you're giving me, while they're sitting over there doing that, well, disco is exploding over in America.
Yep. And
so this is his way to get on the dance floor in America too.
Yeah, this is 1978, so this is like at the height of that disco Studio 54.
So you can hear that he's like, no, I need to make something that they're going to play on the dance floor here too. That's part of it. Yeah, definitely.
This is a the real corollary in the Black music world that also crossed over to this is Mike's Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. It's that same kind of song where it's just it's a little faster than you'd expect, and it goes on for a while. Like
the vibe is definitely off the wallish.
yeah. And it would have been about the same time too. Like
no, but that's what I mean. Is like you can tell that Freddie is musically inclined and can also pick up on other grooves. That's part of being great. I mean, and greats are able to do, you know, great interpretations of things. Like, I mean, I'll say this briefly. Like my favorite Prince album is Sign of the Times because I hear Prince, Stevie Wonder, and James Brown because he does wonderful interpretations of what they do so well too, because he's inspired by them. So this song, I can totally see how Freddie and Queen are inspired by what's going on with disco, you know, and being literally on the scene and there and dancing to other people's music. Like imagine being Freddie Mercury and like they're playing everybody else's stuff while you're there in the club. Your shit's not playing. You're probably gonna go make something to get played because you're capable of doing that.
Yeah. And he did, and they did, and they made a bunch of songs too. Like,
I bet.
So
go listen.